And by the way, let me just kind of unpack a little something. I've been saying this a few times over the last month in different groups. I don't know if I've said it here. In our growth process, each stage of our growth needs a different kind of nutrition. Babies need one kind. Toddlers need the next level. Teenagers, they eat about anything. They're the garbage disposal, Not sure it's good for them, but just let me eat it. I'm hungry. And then when we get older, we get a little discretionary about what we eat. Like, you know what? I probably better eat what's healthy for me. So we know, don't we? And so each of our stages of growth need different kinds of nutrition. So most of us are involved or have been involved in some church settings, and there's still going to be a lot of life in church settings for a long time to come. Because why? Jesus has all kinds, I should say, all of Jesus's people are somewhere on the spectrum between pre-Christian and sage, veteran, seasoned. Somewhere in that spectrum. Well, Jesus needs all kinds of venues and environments to feed them. So there's going to be church for a very, very, very long time. But the more seasoned we become, if we're not actually leaders in that setting and in that environment, we're probably going to have to find some venue, some way to be able to give it away. And that keeps us fresh. And of course, the very easy to understand example for that is the Dead Sea. The sea just above it, the Sea of Galilee, receives and gives. But the Dead Sea only receives. And so somewhere along the line, we must give away. So I want to highly recommend each of you find ways to export the precious things, the gold that God is instilling into us. You're getting beautified. We all are. We're getting beautified with the gemstones of inspiration and rhema. And our hearts and our minds just come alive like, yes, God, this is wonderful. And somewhere along the line, it'll be important that we establish some kind of bridge for exportation, exporting the precious things that God has given to us. Now, in some cases, that may be a house church or home group. You may be able to do that in a Zoom group. You may find yourself an email database, that your collection of friends that are tracking along the same track. And so you begin to develop kind of a pathway to give those precious things away. And so, but it is going to be important. So now how does that relate to us? Most of us have found ourselves here together because this was the next new nutrition that we felt we needed. It really spoke to something very deeply inside of us. Thank God. That's awesome. God, thank you for bringing me to green pastures. Psalm 23, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures, leads me beside still waters. Pastures, plural. And so he led us to some green pasture. Well, just as readily and as favorably as we receive everyone, we want to also be able to release everyone. When you've eaten all of the nutrition that you can in this pasture, then feel free. This is not giving you the left foot of encouragement. That's not what this is about. This is about, I want to make sure no one sticks around longer than they feel like they should. And so if God brings you to this place, thank God. If he leads you from this place, thank God. It's kind of like Job's policy. He says, the Lord gives and the Lord takes away. Now, I realize some people have a little difficulty with that verse, but I think if we just unpack it and make it applicable in our lives, it's pretty easily understandable that God is the greatest shepherd. We're just little under shepherds. He's the great shepherd, and he knows what his sheep need. And so if the Lord brings you here, thanks. Let's have a good time for as long as we can. And then if he leads you on and you've got your own pasture that you're beginning to feed, or let's just talk in farmer terms, you need to plow that field. You need to till that field. You need to plant that field. And guess what? You get to reap or harvest that field. It becomes your field. And I think that's where God's taking all of us, is into a place of maturity where we can exercise governance over whatever that specific territory is that God gives us. We own it. We own it. Under God, of course, but we own it. It has our name on the title deed. And Paul said it this way, I don't build on any other man's foundation. Now, I didn't quote that exactly right, but you probably recognize that verse. And so somewhere along the line, you and I, every one of us, want to find the unique field or place or venue or environment that is uniquely ours, and it will either stand or fall based upon what we do. I'm telling you what that will do for us. It'll make the cream come to the top. It'll make your heart just dig deep into God. Get something from God, because you know that field and all those in that field, whether few or many, are dependent upon what you bring to the table. And somewhere along the line, then you'll do the same thing that you did. You'll do to them the same thing you did earlier, and you're going to encourage them to follow the leading of the Lord to find their own field to begin to cultivate and eventually harvest from. How's that? Is that a word for the day?